an exposed cable here, don't know what it is, might be dead, might be live, don't know, in amongst all the cables. Now obviously the board that we're fitting is a 48 way, I think it is, it's massive. Hi guys, welcome to the channel. So today we are going to spend a lot of time actually in here. So we've got something a little bit different. So I've got to get, wait for it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consumer units all tested today, and because I'm going to put them all into one big massive consumer unit. So this house hasn't been touched for absolute donkeys, but you can tell when it has been touched, they didn't want to get involved in the original. So if this video sounds like a bit of you and you like more content like this, please make sure you subscribe. The link is in the corner, turn notifications on, and let's get stuck into the video. So the customer has recently bought this house and we have got multiple boards. So that is the original for the house, that little beauty there. And that has got loads and loads of very, very old wiring jammed inside it. So labelling's to a minimum. We've got a new DB board 4 here, so this is DB4. So this is when some kitchen alterations happened. So we've got a cooker, kitchen sockets, water heater, and some kitchen lights and cabinets. Okay, so that's one. And then we've got DB2 here. Not sure what the X's mean. Again, so on this board in particular, this is a split load board. Have I got a date when that was installed? No date when that was installed, but this is, say, circa 2008 maybe, something like that. So we've got a main switch RCD that then covers this bank of circuits, another RCD that then covers this bank of circuits, and we've got various different labelling, which is a good start. How good that is, I don't know. Spare socket on there, that will be going, because we're going to tidy a lot of this up. We've got DB3, which is an office, and also the power for DB4, which then leads back up to here. So office-wise, I believe, is down in the bottom garden, which is one thing. And then here we have got the socket by the garage door and bathroom lights. So it's been a little bit of a hodgepodge where people have gone, no, I'm not taking responsibility, let's whack another board on, let's whack another board on, let's whack another board on. There is also a lot of wiring in amongst all the pipes and all the rest of it. So we're going to try and do our best to sort of tidy a lot of this out, what we can. So what we're going to do is we're going to start doing some testing, open some of the boards up, and we'll have a little look inside. It's going to be a bit of an eventful day. Okay, so what I've decided, I'm going to test DB4 first. So let's open it up and have a little look and see what we're working with. Okay, so as we've already ascertained before, we've got, that was a very posh word, wasn't it, for me? So this power supply comes actually from DB3, so that is fed from there, so that's fine. So that's one we've got to get rid of at a later date. Yeah, I've seen a lot neater, but remember, there's no points for neatness. So what we've also got on here, we've got, that has got exposed copper on it, as you can probably just about see. Not been terminated, great. Obviously it doesn't really matter because it's all going to come out, but that has been in service, remember that, okay? So we've got a lot of the extensions that then come through all those pipes up there, which is an issue. Oh wow, the more I'm sticking my head up here, the more nervous I'm getting. Oh my God, okay. Right, that fills me full of nerves. Right, okay. So what we're going to do, we'll ignore that lot for now, and we'll go through the testing on this. So we have on our listing here, we've got a cooker, kitchen sockets, water heater, which I've just looked inside the cupboard, and that's an interesting one, and some of the kitchen lights. Okay, so we'll work our way through. Now, I would have used my iPad for doing all the results, but because I don't know exactly where the location is going to be for the new board, I'm just going to write them down, old school. Do it old school, going old school. So let's get the notepad out and get the old MFT out. Okay, so first things first, we'll take it out of the breaker. Like I say, I'm not so fussed about the neatness. It's more that, because obviously it's all going to be replaced anyway for now, but obviously it's going to be a lot neater than this with the new one. So it's just a functional testing, that's all we're doing in some ways. I'm not going to bother about ZE or anything like that on this board, because again, it's all going to be changed at a later date. So we're just going to do R1 plus R2. So we're going to link these together right now. I'd just like to point out as well is that I have completely isolated the power. There's nothing going to it, so I don't have to worry about anything, because there is some exposed copper just there. So R1 plus R2 is linking out the live and the earth right now, and now I need to go and find out the cooker isolation point and test that and go to the other end. So we've just done my R1 plus R2, and that's come back at 0.16. Now, obviously remembering to null your leads out, so you don't want to have that into the equation. So that's fine, so that's passed. That's not a problem on that side. And then we've got our insulation resistance next, which we've just done, and that has gone through and passed, and that has passed at perfect results, which is 999, which is absolutely lovely jubbly, and I've just put the cover back on. Now, so that is that one. Now, yes, could I be talking all these up? Yes, I can talk them all up if I want to, but obviously there's no point because it's all going to be swapped over. So it's just for now. So we're now going to move on to our kitchen ring. Now, this one's a bit confusing why it's not been pushed in very much. It's only just inside. So with the ring testing, slightly different. We've got an end-to-end resistance that we need, which is called obviously end-to-ends. So you measure the distance and confirming whether it is actually a ring or not. So you'll confirm whether these two neutrals are connected in every socket point all the way through, same as the lives and same as the earths. And then what you do effectively, the live and the earth, you'll swap them over and cross connect, and then you measure like that. So you'll measure all the way through the rest of the sockets as we go. So we'll do our end to end together while I've got you, and then I will go through all the results for this particular board on the paperwork in a second when I find that. Okay, so we'll start with our lives. So what I'll show you on here, so hopefully you can see that. So I've got 0.51. So on the neutrals, because it's the same cross-sectional area of cable, that should be the same result. Okay, I'm just going to write that down. 0.51 neutral should be the same. So let's see, or as close as we can possibly get it. Okay, so we've got on there 0.39. Okay, so there's a difference, and there shouldn't be. So let's just double check that again, make sure we've got a decent connection on here, because it happens. You see? So it's always good to double check, okay? 0.39, so that is why it's worth showing you, you know, that it's always best just to double check everything. If it's not quite right, just double check it. And that is 0.62. Okay, so the way to calculate that as well is, so if you grab your result of 0.39 and times that by 1.67, it should give you what the result should be for your earth as well. So 0.65, this is actually 0.62. So it's slightly better, but so that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's a pass on that side. So now we need to do our cross connections and see what we get. Okay, so our cross connections that I've just done, I've gone round, I've verified it here as well. I've got 0.5 20 on those, cross connections across all the sockets. Now you always mark down your highest result on the sockets, and the chances are it will be a spur. The kitchen's not far away from this location either, so it's absolutely fine. So next stage is insulation resistance on here. Okay, so our insulation resistance is 15.9 mega ohms, which is actually a pass. It's a little bit lower than what I would want, but it's still a pass. Now, we're not aiming for perfection here. It'd be nice, but it's not going to happen. So that is a pass. So what we're now going to do is just put, obviously, your cables back in here, and then we will carry on, because we're just trying to ascertain whether there's any, see, there you go again, ascertain, whether any major problems with this installation before we go too crazy in all this. Which I don't think there will be. In fairness, the biggest one that concerns me is actually that board there. That's what concerns me more than anything else, which I'm imagining that you're probably thinking, yeah, I get that. I get what you're saying, Mikey. So that's that. And let's just trim them up a little bit, because he's a bit long. Okay, so that's that one. So now we're moving on to, I think, yeah, water heater, which is upstairs. So let's have a little look at that. Okay, same deal as the cooker, because again, it's just a little radial, essentially, and this really should be on a water heater. So it's R1 plus R2 again. So the water heater should be just the water heater on its own, because it's obviously a heating element. Okay, we've got our heating tank. So it's the immersion that we're looking for, which is then controlled by a time switch. Now these are all the bits that you've got to sort of really make into, because obviously it doesn't have to be perfect, this house, it just has to be safe. So we can see here, we've got singly insulated cable knot inside their enclosure. So we need to sort that one out. Same again here. So that comes down, and then that loops back up into another switch here, which then I'm presuming, let's follow that down. That goes down here somewhere. Yeah, somewhere underneath here. So I've got an exposed cable here, don't know what it is, might be dead, might be live, don't know, in amongst all the cables. That's one thing to sort out. Then this switch here is actually for the pump for that, so that's another issue, so we need to sort that out. And then when you come over this side, I've got room, I don't know if you can read that, I'm guessing it's maybe a room stat or something. And then we look at this. So we've got to sort this lot. So we've got a lot of single insulated cables now all on show, okay? I've also got this lot, and let's have a, so I've got live cables just pushed in between the groove of a floor as well. So there is quite a few bits that need sorting. So the original one, I'm guessing here. So I'm going to go for this one here for testing wise, and see what we've got at that point. Okay, so as you can see, that airing cupboard is a bit of a mess. So what I've done is I make a bit of a notes section on here, as you can tell, like very jazzy. There's always a bit of a notes section, and anything you come across, I'll just generally write down what I find, because it's very easy, especially on a property like this, where you're going through all the boards, that you lose track of things. So obviously on a visual inspection in there, we've obviously, like I've said, we've gone through those issues, they need to be resolved, but at the minute I'm just trying to get to the basics, right? So that circuit had an R1, R2, 0.18, insulation resistance, it passed. So it's now on the physical side of things. We want to detach that pump off it. So that wants to, we want to come off there. And also we need to sort of really figure out what the rest of the setup is. I don't think it's that far from here anyway. But yeah, so there's a little bit of messing about to do in that one, but there is discussions on removing that tank anyway. So again, we're just trying to, let's just work through it. So we're now on to the sum of the kitchen lights. That's how it was labelled up before. So we're doing an R1 and R2 again. There is downlights and stuff in there. So we'll go and have a little look in that one. the reason why I can't show you much of the house of what we're doing is because I've got so many circuits I need to rattle through, as you can probably gather. If I was showing you absolutely every little snippet of it, it would just be the world's longest, boring video. So I'm trying to, when I find something interesting, I'll quickly show you, and then we'll jump back into here and go through all these bits. So yeah, let's go in the kitchen. I'll go and do an R1, R2. Woo, wish me luck. Okay, so just tested the lights out now. When it says some kitchen lights, it's a little bit, I mean, all it is just over the sink, there's like a flyover. And it's got a few like little downlights in there. It's fed by a transformer, and then inside a glass cabinet, it's just basically the additional lights. So all the downlights are actually all powered off something else. That being said, I got an R1 plus R2 of 1.17, insulation resistance of 274 mega ohms. Okay, so it's fine. Now, what I always get nervous, you know, when people hand you, go, oh, you got a previous test certificate. That's right, these steps are uncomfortable on the old ankles. You know, when people hand you a test certificate, yeah, I've had it tested, and everything across the board on an older property is 999 or 299, whichever way they've gone about it. Always rings alarm bells, because I'm not quite so sure. So on here, so we've got a multiple, so we've got like obviously 15.9 on the socket circuit, and I've got a 274 now on the insulation resistance. It just shows a little bit like you're actually testing it rather than just go, yeah, generic, yeah, it's fine. We'll make them up. So that's one board done. No point testing the RCD because again, that's all going. I'm going to try and get rid of a lot of all of this in the installation and whatever. Squeaky, need to get a bit of lubage on there. I'm going to try and get rid of a lot of bits if I can. Now, obviously, the board that we're fitting is a 48 way, I think it is. It's massive because obviously we are under no illusion that there's probably going to be some rewiring that needs to be done here. Also, I'm concerned about obviously where the cables come through. So we do need to have a little look at that. So that board's done. We'll get the cover back on. We'll energise things back as it was. Just double check that. So that one is done and dusted, and now we need to choose our next victim. Are we going to call it that? So we're going to call our next one on there, so we can get all these circuits back on, and everyone is winning. Now I'm going to leave that one till a little bit later on. That one just purely because I am nervous about it. I've got no real indication of what it is. I've got a socket. Don't know what that means. Socket area AC, what the hell that is, I don't know. Socket area I don't know. I don't know what they are. So what I was thinking, if I go through some of the other bits, it'll kind of give me a bit of a context of where everything else is. So I think on that one, like I say, there's nothing jazzy about it, just making notes. Right in the end, there is results down on there, and then we'll go through it. So I think what I might do is do this DB5 now. We'll go through that one. Okay, so I've decided to do DB5 because it absolutely kills my calves doing standing on the steps. It's really awkward. So I've now figured out that light is for, so that circuit there is for the bathroom on the left-hand side, which is that controls all the lights on that one, and then the socket that's actually inside the garage. So you're going to enjoy this one because she's a bit jazzy. Okay, so this on here is that circuit that we were just testing right now. Now, obviously, that improves the IP rating on there. The reason behind that is because we had some big storms here, and there's a bit of a leak, so they've just put that over a bit of a preventative course. So there you go. Did say it was jazzy. Okay, so we're now looking at what number is it? DB3. Okay, so this powers up like the shed at the bottom of the garden. So we'll go down there in a minute, but we'll just run through this quickly. I mean, hopefully that'll be a bit better. But look, I mean, obviously it's on at the minute, but look at the state of that. Look at the state of the way those connections have been made in there. So. And that feeds, so the one on the left, the 50 ampere there, that feeds DB4. So whoever's done that, really poor job. Also, look
at how that's terminated in here. Again, really, really low standard of work there. And some of the cores aren't even in, if you look closely on that armouring going down. Yeah, not great at all. And look at the state of that CPC on there, and that going up. So not great. Also, something to notice there is that we've got no earth continuity for the armour in there. So this is a plastic enclosure. I've got no flying lead. They've put the banjo bolt on, but no actual lead moving forward from there going out. So not great at all. So I'm going to go get the keys so we can go down into the bottom shed and figure out what's going on with that. But so far, not good.
Okay, so we're in the workshop now. It's actually a really cool workshop, in fairness. It just needs a bit of TLC. So I haven't took the cover off, genuinely haven't took the cover off. So we're just going through a few things. Location-wise, pretty stupid for the board where that is. So low to the ground when it doesn't need to be. I've also got gaps here and here, which is obviously no good. Plastic enclosure, yeah, that's okay technically, because obviously it's, you know, it's not within the house and all the rest of it, but obviously I'd ideally like that to be metal because it is inside. It doesn't need to be that way, thankfully. Let's see what this is like. Okay, so face value doesn't look too bad. So what I'm looking for now, right now, is to make sure that this is continuity, because I found a couple of joins as well in the garden, which is not great on the run. So I want to make sure that we've got our armouring in. It's actually earthed as well, where it comes in, which I can't see where it actually comes in at the minute. There is a box at the back, and I'll show you that in a second, and there is also an earth rod, which is leading out there. So let's see what we can find on here on the tester, and yeah, take it from there. So good news, we've got 0.65, so we've got continuity from the armoured. So as in, well, we've got the live neutral and earth is all connected, but obviously you've got a bit of an issue here because I've got that connected to the PME and I've also got it connected to the TT system. So make your mind up, which one do you want to go with? Me personally, I prefer to run everything via the PME rather than the TT, because TTs are a bit unstable, and the next verification I need to do is make sure that that armoured is actually earthed all the way through its length, because obviously there's not much point having armouring on if it's not continuous all the way through, and it's not connected at the house end, and I'm not sure whether it's connected here. So let's have a little look. We'll go around the back and see what we can see. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So I will stand corrected, and credit where credit's due. Part of this, obviously, this is what I'm looking for, that we've got an earth flying lead to connect the armouring up all the way through into the system, which this has. Still don't understand why they've got a TT and a PME system on board, but they have, and here we are. So but yeah, so there you go, that's that one done. Okay, so trying to decipher where everything is, where everything works and all the rest of it. But first and foremost, customer points, thank you very much. Spot on. Now, the board, the labelling is weird. So I've got socket, like socket C, A, all sorts of jazz on there. So I'm trying to decipher what's what in here. So most of them, the only ring, well, let's be honest, in theory, is this one here, which is what's going to be the extension sockets it is. And then there's various different variants. Now, how often do we get it where we've got loads of cables jammed in on there? So we've got a load of 16 amp radials on here, which is great. This first one here is for that socket, which is fine because that's going to go anyway. We don't want that in here. And then what I've kind of deciphered, we've got the 16 amp original centre sockets, 16 amp sockets, which is a hall, garden lights sockets, which is a 20 amp off the back of the garage. We've got the extension sockets, and then lights unknown. So even though when I turn it off, I can't find anything that's not actually working. The lights for the original upstairs, so the original part core of the house. Lights downstairs WC, which is the one we're in now. What that one is that just turns the front, so these two off, I know. And then the circuit 9 is the downstairs lights, which is like the WC, which is this one right above my head, and the lounge. I know. Weird, because you can get to all this above anyway. And then, I know it's not easy, but it's, yeah, it's there. And then we've got the extension lights, which is fairly straightforward. So that is that, which then leads me on to this. So this is where a big part of the confusion is going to come in, because I think that, like the kitchen, which is all new, or newer, should we say, is still, unfortunately, fed off very, very original lighting circuits. So yeah, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So yeah, so that's that one now. So I've deciphered what's going on with there to a degree, which is great. So then we're going to go through, I'll start testing this lot out and seeing what results we've got. Like I say, I'm not making this into a testing video because it'll be going on forever on here. I just want to kind of gauge what is what up here. So I have seen some other circuits in the garage, which I think are fed off here, which are probably going to be obsolete now, which is great. You know that cable I said at the start of the video, right at the top inside the airing cupboard? I think one of those is hopefully one of those two 6mm up there. I think that's going to be dead. And also another one of those 6mm just goes to a socket down the far end, which we don't necessarily have to use and keep in place. So yeah, a little bit of a cable nightmare, should we say. Right, onwards and upwards, bit more testing, and then I'll catch up with you in a minute. Okay, so testing that other board. Man, we've got some problems. So we've got loads of issues. We've got no continuity of CPCs, loads of various different bits, and it all just getting a little bit mad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rattle through the rest of the testing, and then I'm going to leave it from there. And then hopefully tomorrow what I'm going to do is get the new board fitted, and then we're making a bit of a plan moving forward how we go about rewiring certain sections and repairing. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do. It's completely free. It does us a massive solid, and we shall see you on the next one.